Work. Hello, everyone. It's Amy Carlson here. I'm super excited to be able to bring in a good friend of mine, Dr. Shiroko Sokitch. She and I met, I think in the springtime, maybe early summer. We met because she participated in a summit I did this summer. And I just love, and were you on my podcast too before that?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
We've done a few things together. Anyways, tell us if you can see us, because from my end, and I know we've got people on. So from my end, I'm seeing myself clearly, but Dr. Sokitch, I am not seeing clearly, although on the little thumbnail down below, I see you very clearly. So if you guys see us, give us a thumbs up, put a comment in, let us know that you're seeing us just clear. Anyway, Dr. Sokitch wrote a book called Healing When It Seems Impossible, 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. And I really wanted her to come on to our community and discuss with us, what does this look like? And, this year is one of those defying the odds years, isn't it?
It really is. Yes, it sure is. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your background before we get into the book. But I just love how you miraged everything all together.
Sure. So I'm an MD. I was originally trained in surgery, in general surgery, and during my residency fell in love with acupuncture and started studying acupuncture. I left my second year of surgery. After my second year of surgery residency, I left the residency in order to study acupuncture. And I worked in the emergency room for 10 years while studying acupuncture and starting my own clinic. And I've been in practice now in Santa Rosa, California for 27 years.
Wow.
2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago, I published a book, Healing When It Seems Impossible, 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. And it's really based on a combination of, one, how I've worked for the last 27 years, and two, some of my own personal experiences that led me to heal when it seemed impossible. Mm-hmm. And right around it, so it took a long time to write the book, but towards the end of writing the book, we had a huge fire up here in Santa Rosa that burned 6,000 homes. And so the title became even more appropriate for what was happening in our community.
Yeah.
So that's a very super short version of some of my story. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you're mirroring, acupuncture. Acupuncture is actually a Chinese medicine root, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're taking and combining kind of a holistic approach with Chinese medicine, with Western medicine, and you're kind of combining it all in to really create that true healing environment, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And in Western medicine, I basically practice functional medicine, which fits with Chinese medicine very well. And functional medicine is based on, instead of viewing each organ as an individual organ, we're thinking about organs as systems, or rather, like systems that work together, like your immune system and your digestive system and your hormone systems, instead of your heart and your liver and your lungs. Although all of those play a role, but thinking about how the body works in concert with each other. And in Chinese medicine, it's very similar. And each organ is not a single organ. It has additional functions than we know them to have in Western medicine. Has emotional and physical and spiritual functions that are more than we know in Western medicine. So it turns out to be more of a system of operation rather than just a single organ process.
Yeah, I love that. And that's really our difference between functional medicine and traditional medicine, is that, instead of looking at, because I remember I had a brother that was terminally ill for his entire life, and he had, I couldn't tell you how many specialists, because he had, a specialist that looked at his lungs. He had a specialist that looked at his kidneys. He had a specialist that looked at his liver, a specialist that was dealing with immune system dysfunction. There were all these different doctors, and they were all looking at their own individual peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that approach in order for something to work well. So both are valid and important. It's just at what time do you use which system? So
do you get into that with the book?
mm-hmm. Well, to some degree I do. Yeah. So
Okay.
do you want me to talk about that a little bit?
I do. Yes.
So, I mean, I trained in surgery and I practiced emergency medicine for 10 years. And while I was practicing emergency medicine, I was actually studying Chinese medicine. So it is like you said, it is Chinese medicine, not acupuncture, because acupuncture is just one part of Chinese medicine.
Right.
And so it was kind of cool because I was young and still fairly inexperienced in medicine when I first started in the emergency room. And the two I kind of learned together. So they are completely integrated. And especially because of so many years of doing emergency medicine, there's a certain protocol for making sure that a person is going to be okay. And the first thing to think about when someone comes in the emergency room is that what we call the ABCs.
Right.
So that's the airway, breathing, circulation. Those are the most vital, that's the thing that's going to kill somebody first, right? So you want to make sure they can breathe, that they have an airway so that air can travel and that their blood is circulating.
Right.
And so to some degree, even when I started my private practice, not that that's, most people are coming in without an emergency situation, but I always am looking for the whole list of what might be going on.
Right.
And like I said, it's both the Chinese and the Western. So I'm always thinking in both terms, trying to put it together and see what's the best course of treatment, no matter what.
And I mean, you want to talk about having such a very unique perspective and ability to work with people. How many other people would you say just in the United States are trained like you are?
I don't know. I know I belong to the American Academy of Medical Acupuncture, and there are, I think, I don't know how many, there's less than 1,000 physicians who also practice Chinese medicine in the academy. So, but I'm sure there are others all over that maybe are members of that, because for a long time I wasn't a member of AAMA. And I've been practicing, but in my area in Northern California, which is a little bit more, there's more variety of people anyway. There are 3 or 4 physicians that I know are trained in Chinese medicine.
Okay, so maybe I'm just thinking in my neck of the wood, I've never run across somebody that has this kind of dual capacity and really such a very unique perspective to be able to look at healing journey. So, talk to me about like the book. It's called Healing When It Seems Impossible. So, that right there sets this mindset, or, you get this picture of someone in your mind.
Yeah, a lot of my patients are people who've been to many different doctors and have had no answers. Mm-hmm. I just want to say one more thing about the doctor who does acupuncture, because a lot of doctors who do acupuncture, they either go all the way to acupuncture or they just know enough about acupuncture so that they still practice conventional medicine and don't do acupuncture, but know enough to refer somebody. So there's very few who do both like I do, where I literally do acupuncture on most of my patients and I practice functional medicine. So there's even less of that.
Yes. So toot your horn.
But as far as healing when it seems impossible, there are 2 reasons that I have that title. One is that so many of my patients come in having seen 6, 7, 8 doctors, not getting an answer, having had many tests that maybe the test didn't show anything or didn't show what a person was looking for. And because of having Chinese medicine in my background, even before functional medicine was a big thing, because I've been doing this since the 80s, I was able to look at their symptoms and what was going on with them from the perspective of Chinese medicine and be able to understand what was going on and be able to start to work to get it balanced.
Right.
So that's one reason it's that title. And second is that when you go through something devastating or difficult, it sometimes seems impossible to heal. And some of that came from my own life, where about 10 years ago, I went through a divorce that broke my heart. And at the time I thought I had it all, so my whole life fell apart. And I know a lot of people go through divorce. And it may be different experience for everybody, but for me, my whole life fell apart. My business, my sense of who I was, because I had kind of guided my whole life to be in this relationship. And the healing journey from there was profound. There were so many things that I learned as a result of that experience. So the title has two meanings in that way.
Yeah, I love that. And I find in my world, and I know you do too, so many of us that do what we do is because of a personal journey that we've been through, that has really just grabbed us to, take us and share, that out, especially when it comes to book writing too, right? So let's talk about the 7 keys to defy the odds. So let's walk through those. And again, this is a Q&A. So if we've got, those who are watching and listening in, if you've got questions, please make sure you post them up and we'll get those asked.
Sure. So the first key is love. And that was the thing that transformed my life, was to, in the darkest time of my life, the people who were my friends, my patients, my office staff, it felt like I was surrounded by people who cared about me and loved me. And it helped me heal my heart, so that I was able to start to heal myself and begin to find love inside of myself. Love is the most powerful healing force in the universe. Yeah. And, it goes all the way down to the cellular level. Our cells are connected by love. The communication that goes on in our bodies is connected to that love. Our heart has more signals that it sends to the brain than it receives from the brain. The heart has its own brain.
Wow.
And so there's some science behind this. It's not just an emotion. It's actually, there's science behind that the heart generates more signals than the brain. And actually the heart generates some hormones, including oxytocin, and oxytocin is called the love hormone.
Right.
And so when you've been traumatized, actually oxytocin can be useful in helping you recover from trauma, because there's a way in which, when you're shocked or in trauma, that you can't connect, and oxytocin is all about connection. So love is the first key, because it's the foundation of healing. And so many of my patients, when they come into me, they're angry, they're frustrated with their bodies, they feel betrayed by their bodies. And so love, when you start to think of your body as your friend, so that's one of the principles of the chapter, is thinking about your body as your friend rather than your enemy. And if you did think about your body as your friend, what would you be doing instead? So like, if you're not being betrayed and your body is actually smart and it's doing something to help you, how would you be approaching your health? So that's why it's the first key.
I love that. Let me ask you a question. I mean, I'm popping questions up in my head. So the heart is sending more signals up to the brain than the brain is sending down to the heart. So would that be like, sometimes where you feel like, I know this in my head, but I'm not feeling it in my heart?
Mm-hmm. A disconnect. So, and our brains, there's kind of 3 elements. There's our heart, there's our brain, and then there's our spirit and our emotions. So there's all these different elements, right, that are at play, and they're kind of coming from different places. Okay, but when you know something up here, what's that?
We cut out just a little bit. You said there were 3 different elements, and then it cut out.
Oh, okay. So your emotions, your mind, or your brain, and your heart. And your heart is sending signals, so electrical signals to your brain, and your brain is sending signals to your heart. So there's supposed to be a communication going on. But when you say that you get something up here, but you don't get it here, that means you haven't really experienced it.
Ah,
yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So when you really experience something, so you could read a book 100, but when you really get it, then you feel it inside of yourself. So that's a whole different world.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. I'm ready for number 2.
The second key is the physical balance. So anytime, like I'm a physician, so the physical has to come into play. And anytime you have a physical issue, a health issue that's challenging, you've got to find the physical healing as well. So I have several components there. One is what I call the triangle of wellness. So even if you don't know what you have, if you even with the best of medicine and the best of functional medicine, sometimes we still have mysteries. In fact, I think there was an article that I read somewhere that is that 30% of medical issues that people have are mysterious, like no answers. Right. And so even if you don't know what you have, there are 3 keys that will help you heal even if you don't know the answer. One is your hormones, your nervous system, and your immune system. I call it the triangle of wellness.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if your hormones, your nervous system, and your immune system are in balance, then your body has the basic tools that it needs to heal from anything.
Ooh, anything.
Yeah, because if your nervous system, your hormones, and those are the things that run the show, right? The communication between those 3 systems runs the show. So when you start to work on that, so a lot of times when I see somebody who has a mystery, I start to work on that to start to get them balanced. And then I always look for the root cause. So that's the functional medicine piece, but finding the root cause is the second element of physical balance. So first, working on the mysterious level with the hormones, immune system, and nervous system. And then second, finding the root cause.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. And one of the many root causes is always the digestion, because the digestion is sort of the center of that whole hormone, immune system, and nervous system, because the digestion is affected by all 3.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. It is. And I think that's why there's so many people who speak to, let food be thy medicine. Because if we can eat all the right foods in the world, but if our digestive system isn't working properly, we're not picking up the nutrients, it's not absorbing, it's not doing all the things that it needs to be doing. So fixing that, that digestive system is huge in providing that healing.
Yeah. That's true.
All right.
The third key is finding your own unique lifestyle, which has to do with what you eat and how you exercise and what lifestyle habits that you have. And again, there's a million ways to do everything. There's a million ways to meditate, a million ways to exercise, a million ways to eat, different diets, different substrates. So there's certain keys. And then the 4th key, because the 4th and the 3rd key kind of go back and forth. Okay. The 4th key is learning to listen to your body. So I usually start people on a diet that I call reducing the noise, so that you want to reduce the noise in your body so that you can start to listen. So that's why you start with lifestyle. Right. And you start to listen, and there are certain keys. Your body's always talking to you. It's always giving you information. Yeah. So what do you know how to listen to already? You might know when you're sleepy. You might know when you're hungry. You might know when you're in physical pain. That's your body talking to you. And then I take in that chapter, I use all of the elements of Chinese medicine, because in Chinese medicine, all the organs work differently than they do in Western medicine. So for example, your kidneys rule your low back, your knees, your bones, your overall sense of having energy, big transitions in life, the emotion of fear, your physical brain, and your hearing. So the kidneys do a lot, right? And they're also responsible for your genetic essence. So the energy that you're born with is housed in your kidneys, so which we would call genetics. So let's say, and overall sense of having energy and big transitions in life, that would be like your adrenal glands, would be the hormone system, and big transitions in life would be like perimenopause, or menopause and or puberty. Those are the kidneys regulate those times of your life. But then you think about it, let's say you move across country, that would also be a big transition in your life. Or you got divorced, that would also be a big transition. So the kidneys rule all that. So let's say you're listening to your body, and let's say your low back starts hurting.
Okay.
You might think that your kidneys are out of balance then, and so that's all in the book, is how to use that information to listen to your own body, and to then use that to help yourself heal. And then you go back to lifestyle, and you go like, okay, certain foods help the kidneys, certain ways of meditating help the kidneys, certain ways of living, so yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is such great information. So what about the person, like, for instance, my mom had a kidney transplant. So if you have, or before, let's take it beforehand, if you have kidneys that aren't functioning and aren't operating, and you've got a major lifestyle change or a major shift in life, oh, wow, that's like that's profound, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how they're going to feel and act. Oh, I got to get the book and read it. We're only in 4, and I'm sold. I'm sold.
Oh, good. I'm glad. You can click on it on my website, and actually you can get a free gift if you. Actually, I'll just send you a link to the free gift because I wrote a workbook. So the book has. Here's the book. This is how it looks. It has every single chapter has suggestions and hints for how to improve your connection to whatever I'm saying. And then I wrote a workbook that has all of the exercises sort of separated out so that you can work on it yourself.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. All right, let's get into our what do we got? 5, 6, and 7 left.
Yeah. So the 5th key is emotions. And so you heard me mention that the kidneys rule the emotion of fear. So every organ in Chinese medicine has an emotional and spiritual function. So the liver rules the emotion of anger. The lungs rule the emotion of grief.
Yes.
And the heart rules the emotion of joy. And so there's a physical connection there. I'm sorry, my brain just kind of spun out there. In Chinese medicine, we say that disease comes from either inside your body or outside your body. And everything that affects you from the inside starts with energy, and energy is emotion, energy in motion. You can't, like, people always ask me about psychosomatic, although we've come to realize even in our Western world that emotions affect our bodies. So it's much more common now. But when I first started studying it, that wasn't part of our conversation.
No.
So especially when you have a difficult health issue, it's not the first thing I address, but when you have a difficult health issue, I point you towards emotional imbalance. And again, you can understand that through the Chinese medicine. So, and then the 6th key is to have patience and persistence, to never give up.
Yeah.
So when you have a difficult health issue, I always talk about this idea of a hero's journey. We all love hero's journeys. I certainly, like, when I was writing this book, I was watching all these hero movies and just kind of really cementing that in my mind. We're on a hero's journey. Like, we know that we're on a understanding journey with our body, with our friends, or with our family, because we always have these difficult challenges with our relationships. But we also have a relationship with our body, and that can be difficult. And when it's difficult, then we are on a hero's journey to heal. and to never give up on that. Don't give up on yourself. Let that transformation, and so many of the people that you and I know, Amy, are people that have gone through difficult health challenges and then become healers themselves.
Yeah.
And it's the journey that took them there, that whatever happened to them is what turned them into a healer. I have so many friends like that. And, don't give up on yourself is like the key from the sixth.
Have hope. Yes.
And then the seventh is to trust the process. Because again, if you've been to 7 doctors, or you've gone through this and you've gone through that and you've gone through this, all these different things that you can go through, and to trust that whatever journey you were sent on was a part of your learning.
Right.
And that you're in the right place at the right time, kind of thing. So
I love that. And, would patients go into this, deal with the 7 keys, have patience in that last one, or trusting that journey? Is, I think sometimes people forget that our bodies took a long time to get to ill health and, the state that we're in. And sometimes it takes us, a long time to get out of it too, and to trust that process that you're on, it's going to be okay, but it's just going to take a little bit of time. Sometimes, not always, but,
Yeah. I mean, it takes a long time to get there, and sometimes it takes a long time to get back, and sometimes it takes less time to get back.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love this. Now, can you explain to me, these are such great keys, and I like that. Like I said, I'm going to grab the book because I want to read it now. And that we're scrolling across the bottom, heart-to-heartmedicalcenter.com. We can grab the book there. You can also reach out to Shiroko there at the website that we're scrolling at the bottom. Because I don't know a lot about Chinese medicine. I hear a lot, but I don't know a lot about it. And one of the concepts that I do hear is that there's like what is it, warm and cold, or wet and hot, or how is that? There's like, there's really kind of a balance there.
So there are certain conditions. So like we have, let's say we have hepatitis, or we have food poisoning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In Chinese medicine, hepatitis would be called damp heat in the liver.
Okay.
Yeah, because so the virus that invades the liver causes heat.
Right.
And causes certain heat symptoms. So the way disease is described in Chinese medicine is based on certain factors. And this is only one style of Chinese medicine, because there's another style called 5 elements. And there are other ways. There's French energetics. There's all these different ways of even applying Chinese medicine.
Wow.
And, the whole idea being, again, that somehow you want to get the energy in balance, the body's energy in balance. And that's the whole point.
Right.
But so there's basically 4 factors. Disease can be either internal or external. So, and whatever comes from outside would be an infection, right? If the way we understand it. And then it would be cold or hot. So there would be either the body would be experiencing extreme coldness or heat.
Okay.
And then you want to determine if it's yin or yang. So the way we divide energy is yin or yang. Mm-hmm. You've seen the symbol, the yin or yang, and it is the yin is cool and moist and feminine and nighttime energy, and then the yang is out external and hot and dry and masculine. Okay. And everything can be broken down into yin or yang. So you could think of the top of your head is the most yang, the bottom of your feet is the most yin, the front of your body is the most yin, and the back is the most yang. And those energies change throughout the day and exchange with each other, which is why the symbol looks like that, because it's like a wave, and then it has
yeah.
And then the last component that we divided in traditional Chinese medicine is called excessive or deficient. So you either have, and so the energy could be either too strong, too much, or it could be so low that you can hardly function. And so a lot of symptoms that a person has could be the same. So you could have heartburn that is either, it could be excessive, where it's too much stomach acid, or you could have heartburn that is not enough stomach acid.
Right.
The symptom is the same, but the cause is different. So again, in Chinese medicine, there's a whole way of looking at all of that, and it's about the root cause, finding the root cause. So very much like functional medicine, but with different language.
Right, different language, and I love how it's all about that balance. It's bringing everything back. You're either too much, too little, too hot, too cold. You're just bringing it all back into balance. That is awesome. Well, we'll come to the end of our time, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you the last word. What do you want to leave the audience with as we close up today?
Well, I want to say that whatever you're going through, please don't give up on yourself, and to start with love, because it's something very simple. You could do something very, very, very simple that would help you feel more love in some way. And if you can't feel it for yourself, if you have a family member that you love a lot, or kid that you love, or a pet that you love, whatever it is, put some love out, because love is like a boomerang. It'll come back. So even if you can't feel it here for yourself, you can put it out to someone and it'll come back to you, and it'll help you feel better.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. Make sure it's Healing When It Seems Impossible, 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. You can grab yourself a copy of that at hearttoheartmedicalcenter.com, and you can reach out and talk with Dr. Shiroko Sokitch there at that website as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to have been here. Thanks.